Why is it so difficult in Betaflight 4.3 and later to configure more than 4 motors? More info in the Discord. Thanks for a $5 super chat, IP Coffee. Thanks also for being a patron. Appreciate the support. My question pertains to an issue I had with a hexcopter that was not assigning motor 5 and 6 under Betaflight 4.3 and above. It has to do with going from SPI to DMA for transfers. Is there an easier way to find out what controllers can operate which motors? So, IP Coffee, first of all, brilliant username. I would expect that any flight controller that has more than 4 motor outputs would support all of those. So, for example, this is the JBF7. It has 8 motor outputs, 4 on the ESC plug and then 4 over here. It just works. If you enable a hexacopter mixer, motors 5 and 6 should just work. It certainly did work that way when we first released it. I haven't personally tested it on Betaflight 4.4, but I would assume that that's still the case. What flight controller were you using, IP Coffee? That's the question. Now, FPV Wild Ride asks whether Betaflight 4.4 cloud build was causing the issue. I don't see why it would, because nowhere in the cloud build is there an option to choose what motors. Now, it's possible that the targets for Betaflight 4.4 were messed up and don't work when you try to use a bigger mixer, but Holybro Kakute F7. How many motor outputs does that have? In other words, were you trying to remap motor outputs, or does it actually have 8 motor outputs? No, so it doesn't have the additional motor outputs, does it? I'm looking. I don't think it does. So, if you have a flight controller that doesn't have 8 motor outputs assigned from the factory, then you may get resource conflicts when you try to enable those additional motor outputs. You say it has a motor 5 and 6. I don't see those. Where are they? I'm obviously missing them. Are they on the underside? Everyone's telling me there's an M5 and M6. I guess I believe you. Oh, there they are. Yeah, so if there's an M5 and M6 from the factory, they should work. It's the board designer's problem if it doesn't work. Right? But I don't think that's generically a problem with Betaflight flight controllers. I think it's just a problem you ran into with this specific flight controller. It's not just that flight controller. Like the Flywoo hexacopter controller has some issues going either to 4.3 or 4.4. So what you can do, though, if you are running into this problem, and this is not an enjoyable or fun answer, but what you can do is in Betaflight Configurator, you go to the CLI tab, and you start by typing, let's do this. Let me go to the Motors tab. Actually, let me, Motors. What we're going to do is we're going to assign a hexacopter. Oh, no. This is the flight controller that, for some reason, freezes up when I try and select a hexacopter mixer. Well, that's not a very good choice. That's a bad choice. How about my JBF7? Please work. Don't make me look bad. All right, here we go. JBF7. We're going to choose the hexacopter mixer. Save and reboot. Please don't make me look bad. Thank you. Yay, it worked. Okay, so here we've got the hexacopter mixer. But let's assume that when we do this, there's a resource conflict and motors 5 and 6 don't actually work, okay? What we can do is we can go to the CLI tab and we can type resource. And that's going to show everything that might be assigned to a resource and where it might be. So notice that motors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have a pin assignment. Let me zoom in on this real quick. Hold on. You guys can't see this. Notice that motors 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have a pin assignment, but motors 7 and 8 also have a pin assignment. Why do motors 7 and 8 have a pin assignment even though we're not using an octocopter mixer? Because the designer of the board has said, if you need motors 7 and 8, here's where they should go. And that's what resource is showing you. Resource is showing you everything that the board might be able to do, and if it is asked to do this thing, where that thing will go. Now, sometimes you'll see in the resource output that the same pin is assigned to more than one thing. For example, if we look at, hang on, I'm trying to find the right example. The I2C, here we go. So notice that I2C SCL is on pin B08. And B09. I really thought those would be reused, but they aren't. I'm surprised that they're not. Well, I'm not sure I can find a good example. Sometimes resources there'll be multiple resources assigned to the same pin. And in that case, only one of those resources can be active at a time. So next what we're going to do is we're going to type resource show. Resource show. And what resource show is going to do is show us the resources that are actually being used right now. Okay? So now if we go to resource show, notice that we've got motor 1, motor 2, motor 5, motor 6. Where's motor 3 and 4? They must be here. There they are. Motor 3 and motor 4, but not motor 7 and 8 because we're not using an octocopter mixer. We're using a hexacopter mixer. Now, if there was something assigned to resource CO8 that was conflicting, what we would find is that CO8 would not be assigned to motor 3 or 4. Actually, it's probably motors 5 and 6 that would conflict. But there would be something else on that pin. So what we would do is we would look up here at motor 5 and see that motor 5 was assigned to pin B06. And then we would look down in resource show and we would find pin B06 and we would look at what was on pin B06 and it would not be motor 5. It would be LED strip or SPI or something else. And that would be why motor 5 is not getting assigned. And at that point, we could manually type resource motor 5, and we could try to reassign motor 5 to a different pin. The other thing we can do is we can type, I think it's DMA, and DMA shows which pins are assigned to which DMA channels. And that's another resource that can conflict and prevent a motor assignment from working. If you're using D-Shot, you need a DMA channel, and I think you type timers. Is it timer? There we go. You type timers, and every motor pin needs a DMA channel and a timer, and that's another resource that could conflict and prevent you from being able to assign a motor. But you shouldn't have to do all that BS. The designer of the board should take care of it for you, so that when you assign a hexacopter mixer, it just works. And if they didn't, that sucks and is bad. Brandon Bean says, look, just send them to the Betaflight Discord and we'll help them. Yes, that can work too. Anyway, my point in showing you all that was to show you that it is possible to troubleshoot and fix this problem. But I don't expect that that's like the kind of tutorial that everyone could be able to just follow based on my little live stream shooting the shit.